It's 2023, and then there's one EV in particular that you see everywhere. And talking about gullies, villages, city roads, highways, parking lots on highways, everywhere. And I knew I had to review this car that was beloved by so many. So today, I have with me the Tata Nexon EV Max. For those that want to go the extra distance without compromising on clearance. But will Tata's EV be good enough? And why is it bought by so many that you see it everywhere? Come, let's check it out. And so the charging port is back here. You have an AC charger and you have a DC charger plug-in that goes in here. Charging wise though, if you use a regular 3.3 kilowatt or 15 amp plug from your home, that'll take about 15 hours to top up this Nexon EV Max. But if you upgrade to a 7.2 kilowatt AC fast charger, which by the way Tata does supply when you purchase an EV Max, it drops the charge time to about 6.5 or 7 hours. This car does accept up to 50 kilowatt DC fast charging, and so that will bring total charging time to 100 in an hour. Chargers wise, this is a granny charger. Charges the car at about 2-3 kilowatts an hour. Basically, you plug this into the charging port. It's also known as a charging gun. And then the other side is a regular 3-point wall outlet. You do need an earthing, so not all home outlets can work on it. And then this is something that Tata supplies you. It's basically the 7.2 kilowatt fast AC charger, and this takes up to 15 hours to charge 0 to 100. This will bring it down to 6 to 7 hours. You can also buy this third party, by the way, so it's nice that Tata also includes this in the package. But let's also talk about why charging speeds vary in EV cars, in the sense you go to a petrol pump, and after all, in EV cars charging does get slower after 80%, and it's not like in gasoline cars that the last 20% of the tank takes a lot more time to fill up than the rest of the tank. So why is that? Why does the last 20% take much longer to fill in these EVs with all this super fast DC charging? And why can't it be done faster? To put it in a simple explanation, what happens with these EVs is, imagine your battery being a parking lot, a big parking lot that can fit 100 cars, and there is one point of entry, which is your charging gun, and then the cars that come into this parking lot are electrons, basically, that come in when you start charging the car. So the first 20 cars in this big parking lot, they come in with ease. There's enough room. You can just navigate and slot your car and it'll charge just fine. The next 20 cars, fine. But then you come down to the last 20 cars out of 100, you're gonna take some time to like find a spot to park, right? Because most of the spots are already full. And that's basically in a nutshell what happens with charging an EV. The last 20% just takes more time. Of course, there's also other things that affect how fast a car can charge. This car behind me, the Tata Nexon EV Max, is a 332.8 volt architecture. And if you remember from my previous videos, the voltage architecture really affects how quickly these EV cars can soak in electricity. And on top of that, the temperature also really affects how quickly an EV can soak in energy. You have to understand that batteries are basically chemical reactions that produce energy, electricity between the anode and cathode. And these reaction rates peak at certain temperature ranges. And so when the battery gets too cold or too hot, you can expect the rate of reactions to decrease and increase. Cars don't allow high temperatures because then things can get a bit unstable. But in the winter, when there's like a considerable 10-degree drop outside, then these cars tend to charge a bit lower, and you also get a range depletion if you've ever thought about it. It's not a significant range depletion, at least not in Kathmandu, but you can expect like a 15, 20, or even 30 kilometer up and down between winters and summers. But all in all, these slower charging speeds, taking time. You know how a cell phone heats up when you charge it fast? Yeah, basically that happens to a battery too, and in the car, and you want a long longevity of your battery health basically. And so the car is smart and has a lot of sensors on board and software that'll regulate everything for you, so all you need to do is plug it in and leave it. Got to mention, but this is basically what a CCS2 port charging looks like. And the good thing about this one is that it's found almost all over Nepal, unlike the GBT port. And so Tata have about 19 chargers installed that allow different speeds of charging, but the NE DC chargers also have this port. And so coupled together, as long as you plan ahead of time your long distance travels, you will not have too much of range anxiety on the highway. Let's check out the engine. There is usually a latch in here. So talking about the engine and how it is, Tata have put a plastic covering that covers up most of it, but usually what's underneath is a central unit that converts AC into DC, and then stacked underneath it is the motor train that powers and moves this car. On the left hand side, it looks like you have your brake fluids here, and then it looks like these two are coolants. So the thing with this component underneath here is that it tends to heat up when charging, when discharging, and so Tata have put in some sort of liquid cooling mechanism that will go around the system and cool it, because you don't want a hot engine always. Underneath here, it looks like there are two fans, one a radiator, one probably as a condenser for the AC unit. And then you have a 12 volt battery here. Yes, EV cars also have 12 volt batteries, because while there is a big battery underneath for your motor, that is very high voltage, and so You have a 12 volt for everything else, like your sensors, your wipers, your music system, your folding mirrors, you name it. And this is probably the fuse box, and you have the wiper fluids on the side here. What this control unit also does, here's a better view of it in there, is it also charges this 12 volt battery. You have petrol diesel cars that have this component in the engine bay called an alternator that changes the mechanical spinning energy of the engine into chemical battery energy that charges this. But in an EV, that central unit also acts as an alternator and charges this time to time. Other side here, you can see this here from the control unit goes down to the motor, which is right below it. And then basically orange wires are the high voltage wires in this car. Let's check out the exteriors on the Tata Nexon EV Max. And let me tell you something ahead, that tri-arrow theme is both inside and outside the car. And we'll spot a lot of places with this theme going on. So you have a nice front grille, a big Tata badging with an EV on the side, and then the headlights. The DRLs are LEDs, but the headlight itself is a projector halogen. And then you have fog lamps at the bottom. Moving on to the side of the car, you have another EV badging. You have side lights here. There's a multi-color theme where the car is in gray, the roof is in a white shade, and then you have this teal strips highlighting the sides of the car. You have more tri-arrow design LED rear lights. I'm happy that Tata have put in a rear wiper. There's a Ziptron badge, a Nexon badge, and another EV badge. There's some reflectors at the bottom here, and there are sensors for estimating distance when you put the car into reverse. Coming onto the wheels though, the wheels are 16-inch alloy wheels, and it's quite a massive tire wall. And honestly, for Kathmandu's bumpy roads, these really do a good job soaking in all that unevenness. The car gets both disc brakes in the front as well as disc brakes at the back. In the Prime, the Nexon Prime, the rear brakes were drum brakes, so I'm glad to see that Tata have provided both disc brakes. The car offers 350 liters in boot space, and as you can see, this is an emergency sign. There is a tire mobility kit, so basically this is fluid you put into a punctured tire, and this is a portable air compressor that you plug into your 12 volt and then into the tire. Moving that aside, there is an underfloor bed, and Tata Nexon EV Max, it's one of the few rare EVs that you still get a full spare tire, a jug. You don't get these in cars these days. It's just a mobility kit that comes with most cars. You can also fold this down 60-40 and see how big the boot can get. Let's check it out. It's fairly simple. There's a knot here you pull down. There's another knot you pull down on this side. It's not a completely flat bed, but it's definitely more. And you can probably definitely take this out. So once you are able to remove that, the car then offers 690 liters on availability. Curious about boot space, a backpack, portable charger, the big 7.2 kilowatt charger, and can probably fit in more. Check out the interiors. So it's a lot of hard plastics. The interiors have a lot of perforated tri-arrow design. The good thing is that even a big water bottle fits into the cup holder. There is a small umbrella holder there, and you do have more room to add other things. There's again a nice contrasting light blue stitching. There is a lot of perforated tri-arrow here on the driver's seat and the passenger seat, as well as on the inside the cabin. You also get height adjustment, and this is for the angle adjustment of the recliner. Your seat also gets ventilation, and the way to move the seat forward and behind is from underneath. You can also adjust the height of your steering wheel to go up and down. And then coming on to the center console, this is a bit tricky. Not everyone's hand is small enough, but I had a bit of a struggle putting in this USB cable. Then Tata have also given you a 12 volt here, but you need to make sure your device is small enough it fits into the slot. You have a wireless charger here. Something I really liked about this is my dog, is that your phone heats up when you wirelessly charge, and they've conveniently put like a fan so that the phone doesn't heat up. This is for your regen. This is your parking brake, and this is auto hold. Your gear changes are a rotary dial with a screen in the middle that indicates which gear you're in. And then you have your sport and eco mode on the side. This is hill descent. Your fog lamps basically. And this is an auto lock system that most cars have that will allow, once the car is charged to 100%, someone can unplug the charger from the outside. Your central lock is here, and this is something to open the boot. Your HVAC controls are also in the middle, and this is something I really like, that there are physical buttons here. These are for your defoggers. This is for air circulation, and this is for the direction. You have your temperature toggles on the right hand side. You can also leave it in auto and let the car decide for itself. And then you have, Tata have also given an AC button if you want it on and off, if you just want the fan, but also an econ button. So basically, if you want your car to use less electricity in AC, then there's an econ option. Emergency button in the middle. There is also a center armrest with a decent amount of space on the inside. The rear mirror does come with a dimming function. It will open it, but when it comes to closing, this last bit is manual. A lot more of this perforated tri-arrow design, some hard plastics. We have a small tweeter here and a big speaker there. Legroom is pretty decent. And then you have a glove box here. There's a tray on top. You have a pen holder here. And then, since this is a cool glove box, this is somewhere you can keep your drinks. This is a bit of a softer leatherette plastic material. A Nexon badging in the middle. And what really highlights this interior to me are these holographic designs. I don't know if you can see it, but more of that tri-arrow thing is happening here with a more dense pattern on this side, but as we come across, it slowly fades away, and then there's nothing on this side. It's pretty cool. The passenger side also has room for a big bottle and some more items and another umbrella storage compartment. There is a bit of a hanger here for your bags. Now moving to the rear, more perforated tri-arrow designs. It's all over the car, and it seems you can have a big bottle at the back too. I was a bit skeptical about this, but there is a center armrest with 2 cup holders. The car does have isofix points at the back in case you want to attach a baby seat. There is a rear AC vent, 2 AC vents. There is no USB charging here, but the unique thing about this car is that behind the rear seat there's actually a 12 volt option back here. Space wise, the car is pretty decent. The floor bed does feel a bit higher, and so there's a bit of an angle on my leg here, but because the seat goes way back, it's quite a comfy seating position with good under thigh support. Space wise, there's a lot of footwell space down here, so no complaints. There's a coat hanger here, somewhere to hold your hand, but another coat hanger here. Even on the other side, there's like 2 coat hangers. Change the height of your seat belts by pulling this out. I'm heading back to the Tata showroom in Thapatali now, and I think my concluding thoughts on this car that I can see why that so many people bought this car. It's not just at an attractive price point, but the facilities it gives and the performance it has, as well as the comfort it gives, is quite commendable. Soft suspension really soaks up bumps, but it's also stiff enough that even though if the car is high, there's good amount of control in body roll because center of gravity is quite high of this car. I didn't have any issue with clearance today. Otherwise, that was something I would always be keeping in mind on these test drives. And I think the best part about this car though was when you put it in sports mode.
Sport drive mode activated.
And you put your foot down, the car just zooms. Like, zooms enough to put a nice smile on your face. And coupled with that, the brakes are quite sturdy. Like, you definitely feel well planted on this car, and you definitely feel that you're in charge of this car, whether in high speeds or in low speeds. The steering wheel is a bit on the heavier side, but it's not so heavy that it's a drag in lower speeds. But the best part is that at high speeds, it really feels firm and planted. And I feel like even on highways, if you have planned it out where the charging spots are, where you want to overnight, is it a place where you can charge or not, then I feel like this car is very much a no-brainer in terms of like low maintenance and good driving performance. I love that the car isn't so wide that you just have the confidence to like slot it in. It's almost like I see a space and I'm like, I can pass through that. It gives you that much of confidence. The best part about this car is that corner there, if you position your driver's seat high enough, you can perfectly see that corner there. And so whether you're a beginner or you've been driving for a while, it's perfectly like navigable. That's the front left corner is the hardest thing to like judge, especially in low cars that You really need to get a feeling for where it is. But on the Nexon EV, that's fantastic.